Good morning, everyone. Welcome to what day is it? It's the 24th? September 24th, is that correct?
25th.
25th, thank you. September 25th Landmarks Commission meeting. It's great to see everybody in person and also virtually online. In compliance with the notification requirements of Ohio Open Meeting Law in section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conduct its meetings based on Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal from any case due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the beginning of the presentation. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, virtual attendees will use the raised hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raised hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile versions and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking the raised hand icon again and muting your microphone. Call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities are being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through the proper channels have been considered. The proper channels for comments are sending an email to the landmark@clevelandohio.gov email address with a comment or letter, calling or leaving a message at 216-664-2532, or sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall located at 601 Lakeside Avenue, Suite 519. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the stated deadline are collected by the Landmark staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to the scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To go over the meeting rules and procedures, the chair will call each agenda item and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask Landmark staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations and any public comments received. The deadline for public comment is noon on the Tuesday prior to any regularly scheduled Cleveland Landmarks Commission meeting. Any received comments are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
We'd like to call the September 25th, 2025 Landmarks Commission meeting to order. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson? Mr. Dreyer? Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Here.
Mr. Lozier?
Here.
Mr. Lull? Present. Mr. Sandberry? Here. Mr. Strickland? Mr. Trasick?
Here.
Dr. Williams?
Here.
And Ms. Trott?
Here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to note that we have Patty McGinty Aston here from Law, as well as Kevin Roberts from Law joining us online, as well as Jessica Beam and myself from the Landmark staff present. And just to note, Mr. Nathan Lowell is sitting in for the Planning Department. This Director Mersman is out of the office.
All right, excellent. Then we will begin today with our certificates of appropriateness. We'd like to call our first applicant forward. Please come up to the table and announce yourself and tell us about your project.
Tap the, yep, that should turn it on.
Good morning. I'm David Hogue, an architect with Bostwick Design Partnership, and with me is Judy.
Judy Schwinn from St. Theodosius. Stephen.
So if you recall, we were last here in April and we presented the restoration of St. Theodosius Orthodox Christian Cathedral, primarily with the roof restoration. And since that time, we finished the construction documents, gone out for bid, received the bids, and actually received full permits, and realized that the bids came in significantly over what the insurance company was willing to cover. So today I'm going to present to you some modifications to reduce cost. Primarily it's phasing, so it's breaking the restoration in 2 phases based on the currently available funds, along with the fundraising plan to secure the remaining funds, and some minor material modifications to reduce costs. I forget, do you advance the slides?
You can if you want,
Okay.
just if there's a bit of a lag.
Okay.
So. Yeah, we can do it.
So I'm going to go relatively quickly over the ones reviewed last time and focus on the phasing and material changes. So last time we shared with you the image on the left, which is an image of the cathedral before the fire and the subsequent extinguishing efforts. And the image on the right, the full restoration, you'll see the copper domes. That still is the goal. We're proposing introducing an interim phase, restoration phase 1 in the middle, which would only restore the bases of the domes. So essentially, once the geometry starts to curve, that would be deferred to phase 2. But the materials would stay the same. They would still be copper for those domes. So in the interim phase, the small domes around the edges, there's 8 of them. Those would not be part of that. Those would likely be a very attractive item for target individual donors, so they could sponsor one of those small domes. And those would go up as the funds are available. The 2 medium domes on the right side of the image, those would be restored up to the rectilinear platform. And then once funds are available, they would continue those up. And then the same thing with the large central dome. They would be restored in their original copper up to the 3 original platforms. And then the curvilinear elements would be added as funds are provided. Again, showing a full restoration. Again, what would look like from the ground, that interim phase, so the faded elements would not be there. Also want to note 2 material changes beyond the phasing changes. The one is to replace the shingled roof with asphalt shingles in lieu of slate. After some additional historic research and discussions with the congregation, we learned that when it was originally designated a landmark, it had asphalt shingles in the 70s and was replaced with slate in 2002. So for that reason, we are proposing to restore it with asphalt shingles, significant cost savings, and still is true to its landmark status. And also, as you can see from the ground, the shingles themselves aren't that visible from the ground. It's primarily the copper domes that you see. In addition to the shingles, we are also proposing to change the material of the barrel vaults. You'll see it on the 4 sides from copper to aluminum to reduce costs. We still plan to bid both in the event the copper is viable in the budget, but we want to have a bid alternate to go with aluminum if that's what's necessary to proceed with construction. If we do go with aluminum, the goal is to have a custom pre-patinated aluminum finish, so it would vary. It wouldn't just be a consistent, brown color from day one. It would vary and try to mimic the natural patination of copper as much as possible. And the same is true for the gutters around the roof. We are proposing to have a bid alternate to proceed with aluminum with the same pre-patinated copper as well to reduce costs. At this point, the church has secured a significant amount of fundraising, but I think as of late, that fundraising has slowed and essentially come to a halt. And I think a large part of it is from talking with the church. They think that they just haven't seen enough progress on the exterior. So the thinking is, if they can see the roof start to be restored, the dome start to be restored, people may be more willing to donate. And the inside, as it is right now, is not occupiable because of the destroyed ceilings and structural members in there. So the congregation has been out of the church for over a year at this point as well. So we think that when we can demonstrate progress, if we can obtain some sort of even partial occupancy on the inside, people will start to trust that the restoration is possible, it's feasible, and the hopes are that the fundraising efforts and donations would continue. So again, you'll see some diagrams here without those ghosted elements, just to make sure we're clear on conveying the elements that would be part of the initial restoration. And then the final phase. And the window restoration, everything we talked about is still as it was approved previously. So here you'll see some imagery particularly on the left, again, the plan is for the copper domes to be in copper, just as we had planned. And just to note the cost with those, with the implication of tariffs on the cost, that could potentially be $500,000 just in tariffs for those domes. So those additional costs are significant. The barrel vaults, you'll see copper, which would be our base bid. That's our preference to proceed with copper on the left. And then a pre-patinated aluminum illustration on the right for those barrel vaults and gutters. And then for the hip roofs, the image in the top center is actually from a report that the church had prior to 2002, illustrating the original asphalt shingles, or before they were slate anyways. And then the center image represents our attempt to represent the new asphalt shingle roofs. And thank you for your time. Put up for questions.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Did this didn't go back to local, right?
Correct.
Okay, so just landmark staff recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I mean, Landmark staff still excited to see this moving forward. Understand the cost constraints on a project of this scale. Comfortable with the asphalt shingle instead of the slate, given its lack of visibility, and also the use of the aluminum on the barrel vaults, as those really aren't visible from the ground. I guess we just had questions about the use of copper or aluminum on the vertical bases of the domes. Would those be copper?
That would copper only.
Copper in all situations?
Yes.
Yeah, then staff is supportive of the proposal as presented.
All right, thank you for that recommendation. We'll then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Michael?
Question. The smallest domes there's 8 of them.
Right.
Were all 8 of them damaged in the fire?
They were not. The way that we're detailing the roof is having the membranes continue under, and we have to replace the structure that's supporting those small domes. So in order to replace the hip roof structure, we need to remove the small domes.
So you still have a portion of them.
Yes, yes. And then the plan would be to put them back the way they are, not to reconstruct them. Replace the parts that may be damaged, but put them back in as whole as possible.
Okay.
It's mainly so we can get access and complete the roofing and the structure underneath.
Thank you, Ms. Sandberg. So just building on that, would they be replaced in the phase 1 or would they be replaced in the phase 2?
The domes would be replaced in phase 2.
The ones that are intact, would those be put back in phase 1, I guess?
No, phase 2.
They would be put back in phase 2, so it'd be a full replacement.
And there may be more phases. Phase 2 might not happen in its entirety all at once. Quite likely, if they're able to get donations during construction, they'll likely, they could put, 2 of them up if they have enough, to stay at the end of phase 1.
Okay.
Essentially, I wanted to present a worst case scenario, and they'll bring each piece back as quickly as possible.
Right. I mean, overall, I agree with staff. I'm aligned that, I'm happy to see this continuing to move forward, and especially in the state of the environment we are right now and construction costs. I am aligned that I can support the replacement of the roofing from the slate to the asphalt. Still would love to see the copper go forward, but I think the pre-patinated or the pre-patinated, which is another way to say that, is I think a good solution that would minimize the distinction. I think what will be more impactful are those domes. So if you're able to put the 2 back, that are intact, I think part of the phase 1, I think it would also just show that we are, still rebuilding and we're missing funds from you, to finish it out. But overall, I'm in support of the revisions to the project. So thank you for the care of a great facility. Other questions? I'm sorry.
It is a beautiful facility.
It is. It's very lucky.
Back to so the 8 that you do have, whatever number is remaining, I just want to make sure that they're in a safe place.
They are.
While they're not on the building. Yeah,
as you can imagine, even from the inside, they have lots of features that were very valuable, very delicate, very rare. So they're all stored in secure facilities. Same with all the windows, chandeliers.
Other
I'm
questions?
in full support. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Mr. Sandberg. Other questions and comments from the commission? Not seeing any. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Sandberg?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Excellent. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you for the second, Mr. Dulick. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Musson, please call roll.
All right, Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull? Yes. Mr. Sandberg?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland? I'm sorry, Bob is not here. Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank
Looking forward
you.
to seeing you forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we move on to the second applicant, we do need a motion to untable this case.
I'll make a motion to untable case number 25-0257.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dulick. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
And Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier? That was a yes. Mr. Lull? Yes. Mr. Sandberg?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trout?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you for your patience through this process.
Of course.
It has been quite a back and forth, just convincing sponsors to go ahead and okay the requested revisions of shrinking the logos. But after much back and forth with our sponsors and the Cavaliers and Sprite, they are in favor of sticking to this wall. They as well love the idea of taking an honorarium and after the temporary installation, proceeding with a permanent installation. They feel like that's another way that they are empowering artists. And they were okay with the shrinkage of their logos. They understood the stance of the council and the city, and just wanted to basically proceed. As you all may imagine, this has been about a year now, just trying to get this approved. So as you can see, the logos have been shrunk significantly, and we are hoping that this is what you all were hoping to see. Let me see if I can pull up the. I was hoping that the original one would be on there as well, just to show the significant.
Advance through the slides. Just with the button.
There's a slight delay after you
Yeah.
hit the button. There you go.
Okay, yeah. So again, we were approved for the shrinkage of the logo as well as it being vinyl. So one of the key ideas was to, instead of putting it on paint, putting paint directly to the building, it was to vinyl the building, which we have sourced vinyling that is safe and secure and does not compromise the health of the brick building. Similarly to the right of the proposed installation, the 27 Club logo, that skull that you see, that pink drink, eat, work, meet 27 Club, that is actually the same adhesive that we'd be applying. And, it's simply as, heat pressing it on, and when it's ready to peel off after its temporary installation, it's literally you pull up with the same heat press that you would apply it with. You start to heat it up, and then you just slowly start to peel it off. It doesn't pull any of the brick. It doesn't, tamper with the structure by any means. So we're hoping that that also is of appease to the city. That's pretty much the right-handed, that red block that you see is where we envision potentially putting a some type of vinyl description. Really just with this design, we wanted to again honor the Cleveland City skyline, empower and kick off the Cavs season, which we're hoping that they have a better start than the Cleveland Browns have had. But we'd be okay with a Cleveland Guardians finish as well. But that's just an excitement of the sports-centric town that we have here in Cleveland, Ohio. And, we received a lot of support, not just from establishments and patrons, but also Councilmember McCormick. And we're hoping to receive the support here as well from Landmark. Again, I don't know if you recall, but with the funds, the honorarium, excuse me, that we were to receive from this initial temporary installation, Glenn and myself were committed to repurposing those funds after the year temporary installation to then work with the city and the community directly, because there is an ongoing project that Eileen, Miss Cassidy, has worked long and hard to really beautify all of 950 Main Avenue Wall, and has been approved to continue to beautify that. So we hope that with this approval, after its year temporary installation, we'd be able to then work to present something that's cohesive and permanent for that piece of real estate. And with that, I'll proceed with just kind of showing some things that we envisioned. However, it's not set in stone. We'd love to gain some feedback upon the temporary installation and seeing what the city would like to see. So this is just what we call the Faces of Unity. It's actually a piece that was inspired off of the COVID lockdown. We did this piece. It was a temporary piece outside of Rebel, which is an establishment in Public Square, and it garnered a lot of feedback and really represented what we felt was a diverse group of silhouettes that we see every day of people walking throughout our city. Again, this is just one of the many examples of work that we've done throughout the city. And again, after this temporary installation, we would like to see something permanently there that really represents the city of Cleveland. Proceed with just kind of showing some examples of our work. Again, this is a piece that we did in Otter Park, which is in the Kingsman neighborhood off of East 83rd and Kingsman. And this was a piece that we funded through the Transformative Art Fund. And with this piece, we actually envisioned 2 years prior to actually finally finding the funding. So again, our mission is here to how do we create a model, or at least an example, maybe it doesn't go through every time, but an example of how do we, infuse our creative economy with funding. Largely, that's the toughest part of getting public art, is finding the backers, finding the funding, finding the sponsorship. And we feel with where we are right now in our, success with previous projects, we'd like to take our honorarium and be responsible with it and beautify our city beyond just a temporary piece. So another piece of artwork that we did was a sponsored piece at the Fairfax Market. This is the side of Myers, in which we created this IP. We painted it on the side of the building, but we also allowed them to take that design and flood it through their entire establishment. So not only do you see this on the exterior wall, but you actually see this on the interior walls of the Fairfax Meyer Market. Additionally, this is a piece that we did to honor the late great Satchel Paige, Larry Doby, and Frankie Robinson. all monumental sports figures for the Cleveland Indians and Cleveland Guardians. This is a piece that you can actually still see outside of Progressive Field, the left field wall. And this was a piece that, again, we felt was a great representation of diversity and the historic figures that have blessed our city. Another piece that is an interior wall, Frida Kahlo. This is an example of what I believe that you all had recognized as, can we identify this as kind of like an example of shrinking the logos to really hyper-focusing on the artwork. And this was a piece that we did in New York City on the Lower East Side with New Balance and Frankie Lindor. And again, we hope that this, model can be replicated here in Cleveland as it's taking place across the nation. This, some of you may recognize, is actually a vinyl piece on the window decals of Destination Cleveland. We worked with Miles Garrett, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and Destination Cleveland to install this piece, just honoring some of the greats that have come through our city and are still in our city. This just goes back to the sizing of the mural measurements. 24 by 12 feet would be the vinyl base. And those dates are actually pushed back to October at this point. We've, we've missed that window of August 26th through September 1st. But I have caught wind, or not caught wind, but I've been informed by Ms. Cassidy that there is an existing sidewalk permit for, I believe, the first 2 weeks of October to go ahead and start the murals that are going to be existing just left of this proposed piece. So we'd pretty much piggyback off of, we've got the green light from Ms. Cassidy to piggyback off of that existing sidewalk permitting to go ahead and, really just create a almost like a mini art fair, not literally, but, I think it'd be create some great traction in that area and excite a lot of people with the artwork that's going to be installed both permanently with Ms. Cassidy's project, but also temporarily with this piece of the Sprite and Cavaliers. This is the aimed location, and I'll go back to that slide. Just post-campaign, it further identifies our commitment. However, we need a structure that, we're willing to sign any agreements. I know we are in good standing with the city. We are men of our words. Everything we've, promised to the city in regards to our upkeep of previous installations still exist to date. So a lot of those actually don't have, paperwork or a trail. However, we take great pride in our pieces, and just as much as you all want to see them, not tampered with, not graffitied on, we dually want to make sure that, that integrity is in existence. So just wanted to reiterate that any type of paperwork or, agreements that need to be in place post this temporary installation for a then permanent installation, we are willing and able to draw it up ourselves and or yield to whatever you guys present to us, just to ensure that, we are held to that year temporary installation as well as a permanent piece that we utilize our honorarium sponsorship funding for. This just kind of represents a slight synopsis of my business partner, Glenn Infante, who is a bit more of a introvert and just empowers me to, do exactly what I'm doing here today and really just go back and forth with our sponsors and our donors to massage and compromise. And I appreciate all your guys' suggestions. And I hope that you guys see the efforts that I'm taking on the ground to, really go back and forth with, major corporate sponsors who often aren't willing to budge or nudge with their, funding towards a sponsored wall. However, the Cavaliers and Sprite have duly been very compromising and very enthused to just get this across the finish line. So no further comments from me at this moment.
All right, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
This did not go back to local, correct? So we'll
Correct.
move to landmark staff recommendation.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, staff still feels that this is an exciting idea and a great way to pay for public art, just that it may be more appropriate in an area that has less public art already. We have some concerns that it doesn't fit the master plan of the rest of the wall with kind of the murals flowing into each other that was approved, over the past year, and we've seen pieces of that come back for approval since then. Code does consider this a billboard since it's not technically public art. So we also have concerns about the lack of sort of legal mechanisms to enforce a 1-year limit on the artwork, and concerns that it could lead to an approval of an actual billboard at this location, since under the code it is considered a billboard, just since it has the sponsorship. Again, as discussed in the last meeting, we think that maybe a mural without any of the logos on it, with a plaque saying this mural sponsored by Sprite and the Cavs, would be more appropriate. I think the other thing, since this isn't going through a normal public art process, we haven't seen an owner's consent letter or letter of support from the owner. I understand the owner of the business is supportive, but I don't know if you've talked to the ownership of the building and if they're on board and supportive of it. So I think staff would, if this were to get approved, staff would recommend that a condition be that they submit a letter of consent from the owner, and I would even recommend a stipulation that there be an MOA, memorandum of agreement, between the Landmarks Commission, the building owner, and the artist, kind of stipulating that it only be installed for a year, and then a timeline for approval of the replacement mural, to sort of make sure everyone's on the same page.
Happy to appease that.
All right, thank you for that summary and recommendation. We will open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Mr. Tarasik, I saw your hand go up. Yes, please go
Yes,
ahead.
thank you, Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I may have missed it, but can we see the original one that was presented at the last meeting, just to get a comparison of how they?
It's actually not on this slide. I was trying to pull it up on my phone. Not that that's going to help
Right.
you, Mr. Tressick.
So,
Might
Well,
we have the previous? Okay, got it.
Describe what you changed. I guess
Yeah,
this is,
yeah, if you-
because I'm also
yeah.
struggling
Yeah,
trying to
so
remember.
if we recall, the Obey Your Thirst was it went through that entire top left logo, or that top left silhouette of colors. So it was about 4x the size. So we shrunk that to just be within the green, which is their signature color for their product. And then the Cavaliers logo was also a lot larger, and that was shrunk and put to the bottom right of the presentation.
So let me begin by saying this. Number one, you're very, very talented. Love what you've shown us and all of the examples that you've shown us.
Thank you, sir.
And a big fan of the themes that you've had, and especially the theme that you've proposed subsequent to this, after the 1 year. The other question I have is I guess maybe this is to the city. How much would this and the one to the left of this, which we understand that is ready to go, would that complete this wall then for now? Or would there still be spaces left open?
Through the chair, all the other spaces on the wall have been approved by this commission,
Okay.
so this is the last open space.
Okay.
And when the master plan was reviewed last year or earlier this year, I think it was earlier this year, when we saw the master plan, there were comments from this commission kind of I guess it was when the mural that you're seeing just to the left of the current proposal, there were comments from the commission that expressed, a desire to keep some space around the skull that's business advertising to kind of keep them separated and to give them each room to breathe. So for the master plan, this space was intentionally left blank, so it would be filling that blank space essentially.
Okay. I was just down there last week, and I think it's going to be a tremendous asset to the city once this entire wall gets filled. Not having the original proposal here, I personally don't see how you could make the logos any less prominent, or the slogans any less prominent than what they are. The Cavs is it's very much down in the bottom right of this, very very small. The branding theme, if you will, quench your thirst. I believe that's what it is for Sprite. Is again very small, and I'm not sure how. All you see is the Cavs logo on the jersey, and I don't know if there's any way at all to get around, the logo of Sprite on there. That being said, I would agree with some of staff's concerns, but this being a 1 year project here, with an understanding that it will be eventually, hopefully, eventually a permanent one put in after that. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the one that you put up there and proposed of the profiles. I think that would really finish that wall off from my perspective, anyway. But I can support this in this manner, with the memorandum of understanding as suggested by staff. I think those are concerns as well. Concerns that this would turn into a location where somebody else would want to put a billboard, and I wouldn't want to see that happen. And just concerns that this may last over a year. But I would agree with staff on the memorandum of understanding on those particular points, and I understand the applicant, from the comment there, would be amenable to that. But with that memorandum of understanding, and with the way the project looks right now, I can be in support of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trosik. Other questions and comments from the commission? A question, then I will go next. What is the length of time for a temporary sign? Knowing this is a temporary material?
I believe per code temporary signage is 6 months. Maybe Mr. Lowell knows better. He's sir.
I thought it was temporary signage requires a new permit every 30 to 60 days. But if this is a billboard,
Right.
I don't know, that's the same thing as temporary signage.
Yeah, since it falls under the billboard code, it's a little different than business signage, or even temporary signage. It's got its own section of the code.
Okay. Okay, well then I will not pursue that comment. Trying to be creative solutions, because once again, I support the approach to this and the creativity to sponsor public art. I really do. And I'm excited to see this model move forward. It's just this location I am personally struggling with, just because of how the lack of advertising that is in here, and it's this corridor's focus on art, and this is sort of mixing it, and to me personally. Did you pursue the thing that I like the revisions to the Cavs logo and how you brought it down, and the tagline for Sprite? Did you pursue reducing down the Sprites cans? I mean, bottles, or not cans, sorry, bottles. Because that's the one thing, if those were minimized and the Sprite logo could go in the opposite corner, or, candidly taken out, and puts the Sprite logo in the bottom left corner like the Cavs are, to anchor the piece and really allow it to still have advertising up in the overall piece between the tagline and the Cavs logo, but then really recognizing the duality of the sponsorship. It would to me, that would provide that sponsorship recognition versus advertising. And I could support that, because I do like your proposal for the replacement piece, a lot. But even with that, this would hold, it would still blend better with the overall mission of this corridor if the two, Sprite bottles were, candidly, in my opinion, once again, just my opinion, removed and the logo Sprite put in the bottom left corner, because then it meets everyone's objectives, provides them the recognition, reduces the advertisement side of it so that I can only speak for myself, support it as a piece for that 1 year, length of time. So lots of words. Did you have the opportunity, or did you explore that?
We explored about 6 different presentations when we went back to our sponsors after, our first meeting here. And we did remove the Sprite. It felt very bare when we removed the actual bottles. And to appease them, and also to understand that this is art. I understand that it is under a billboard. However, this is an artist creating this and envisioning how to blend, different images together. It's also the reason that we put the Obey Your Thirst in that green space. One is because it's their logo, or it's their colorway for their product. But 2 is, like, from afar, it's actually kind of hard to see. We put it on the lower left-hand side and it stood out a lot more, just like the Cavs does on the bottom right-hand side. But we like that, and the Cavs actually really appreciated that, you could, as small as it is, you could still identify that it said Cavs. However, the Obey Your Thirst from afar, it doesn't really even look like a tagline. It's kind of hard to see. But to answer your question, the bottles, as well as the guy wearing the Cavs jersey, they weren't really compromising on the designs that we presented. Again, when you remove those bottles, it is very bare, and doesn't really look like a complete piece. So to answer your question, yes, we did present 6 different models to the Cavaliers and Sprite, and this was the compromise. And from my feedback from you all, that wasn't the concern in the initial meeting. It was the fact that the tagline was, 10x the size it is now, and the Cavaliers logo was a lot larger. And so that was the focal point when we went back to them. However, we did present removing the big bottles, and it truthfully felt bare. It felt less of an art piece than anything. And I hope that's
No, explanation is good. And I appreciate that. And then, do you have a letter of consent from the building owner?
We are working with the building owner. They had some transitions recently, and they have a new person they have a new contact that has put us in an email thread with the owners of the building. So that is in motion. Obviously, we will not be proceeding without that in good standing, regardless if we get approved here or not. If they're like no, then it's chalk. It's a done deal. But we're very confident that we will be getting that letter of support, just as we have for the rest of everyone who has seen this and understood, again, the long-term vision. Because the reality is if we do not get this approved, the likelihood of another piece going up here in the next year it's probably not going to happen. Let's just be honest. So that year is going to go by so quick. And to be frank, the Cavaliers, at best, the 2025-2026 season will go through June. Let's just say we win a championship, fingers crossed. That championship parade is typically the second to third week of June. So although we're saying a full year, we might be done with this, come end of June, and can get started on, the approval process for what we all envision as a permanent piece to actually complete that. And I understood, you said that specific spot was left blank, per request of the business owners. I'll just reiterate that we have an ongoing relationship with that Business 27 Club, which the same artist who designed this piece designed that skull that you guys see existing to the right, along with countless amounts of other designs within that business establishment, including their menus, including art pieces that are in that establishment. So they're in full support as well for the temporary piece, as well as a permanent piece being there that also is cohesive with Miss Cassidy's full plan of Main Avenue.
So my only addition to any recommendation for the letter of memorandum, it also includes the building owner. If that is something that we choose to move forward with, I would recommend that the letter of memorandum is between the artist, the building owner, and Landmarks Commission, because then, no matter what, it is, everyone is under the understanding. So no further questions for me. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Trosek.
Again, not to beat a dead horse on this, but maybe this is, I think, both a question and a rhetorical question at the same time. Were one of the options that you looked at, did one include not making the word Sprite complete on that one bottle? In other words, hinting at the word Sprite like it's hinted at the first one. I can understand where that word Sprite being on there makes it really prominently look like a Sprite billboard, having that. But maybe, and again, I'm trying to help come to a compromise on this as well. Maybe just a hint of SPRI, something along those lines. And I'm not sure if that might take away from what the desire is of the sponsor. And then as the chair suggested, down in the left-hand corner, the full name Sprite as far as the sponsor is concerned. But I mean, maybe could that relieve some of the concerns about it looking so much like a billboard, because that name is prominently right there. I mean, the Cavs, on the logo on the jersey doesn't look like advertising for the Cavs. That could be just any type of work of art that's on there. The word Sprite being across there, I can understand and appreciate people being of concern that really brings it out as a billboard. So I guess the two questions are, does that really make a difference to anybody that might be opposed to this or have concerns about it? And is that something that the artist proposed to the sponsor?
That's a great question, and yes, we did. Again, we proposed 6 different pieces. We actually proposed one that was in Asian letters, like it was a model off of something that they did overseas, but they quickly denied that, saying that doesn't make any sense here in America. Just us trying to get creative, right? Because we understand that concern. However, our solution and compromise with the sponsor was the bottom right one. Yes, you're right. Really, all you see is like the top of the T and the end of the E. And if you recognize on the second bottle, you almost don't see the T and the E. And so our compromise was that if you put them together, you have the full word. But in that top right one, you see the SPRI, a little bit of the T and a little bit of the E. And then in the bottom left one, you see a little bit of the T and a little bit of the E. And again, our compromise was that if you put those together, they do have their full name on there. For the first,
and that's kind of what I was going for, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's what we were hoping to accomplish with that. We know another one of the proposals, the one that had different language lettering. We also had another proposal that had the Sprite logo in the black, similar to what you see as the Cavaliers. But to be honest, the sponsors didn't really like that. 2, it felt more advertising. As funny as that may sound, it felt more blatantly positioned as a sponsorship versus just like something that you would just see. You would just see a Sprite bottle and you wouldn't think twice about it versus it being just blatantly in the bottom left-hand corner. And so this was our way of positioning it as naturally as you would see that product in a piece of art. And so we did explore, countless conversations of how to really just massage this to make everybody appeased. And I appreciate your guys' feedback and concerns as well. You know, again, you know, this is just temporary. You know, this isn't what we want to see flooded throughout our city. As you can see in some of our other examples, you know, we hyper focus on meaningful artwork, you know, and you know, in that same breath of air, you know, understanding that we are working with a sponsorship, you know, to fund this piece. You know, we wanted to take pride in our city, and that's why we included the Cleveland skyline, and that we feel like that is one of the most prominent things in this piece. You know, everybody that we show this piece, you know, one of the first comments they make is like the city skyline that they see. Obviously, we recognize, you know, there's a Cavs player there, and there is a product of a Sprite bottle, but yeah, you know, it's not easy to, you know, exactly. It really isn't. And so we appreciate your guys' feedback and just hope that it's recognized within, you know, this breath of just trying to get this across the finish line.
Russell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess speaking of balancing all the requirements and everything, I also did want to note that since this would fall under a billboard under code, it's technically considered a sign. So in addition to pulling the sidewalk obstruction permit, you'd also need a permit from the building department. And then it would have to go through the normal signage review, which I believe those permits have to be pulled by a registered signage contractor. So you might have to register as a signage contractor. So there may be some additional process that might affect your timing.
Okay. Now, would that have to, that's just pulling a permit. It's not necessarily getting another approval or presenting, correct?
Correct. That would
Okay.
just be the permit approval process through,
Right.
you know, building department would go through zoning. This body does have, since the billboard code falls under section 350, I believe billboards under 350. I think, yeah, it's, yeah, I guess there wouldn't be any variances needed on this. If it falls under the billboard code, but yeah, so it would go through the normal building and housing review
Okay.
for a permit.
Thank you for that addition. Other questions and comments from the commission? Mr. Trosek, did you have another thing to add, or was your hand just left up?
My apologies, just left up.
Okay, thank you. Other questions and comments? Or would someone like to put forward a motion? Mr. Trosek?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to propose a motion that we approve as presented here as far as the project is concerned, but also add that we would require a memorandum of understanding with the concerns that both the city had and that you proposed, which would be a letter from the, I believe, the building owner, and that the applicant also comply with all other requirements that the city may have to effectuate the proper permits to be obtained, proper approvals to be obtained outside of this body.
Right, so we have a motion with the condition that the applicant requires a letter of consent from the owner, along with a letter of memorandum is drafted between the artist, building owner, and the Landmarks Commission, and then following all required process for a signage permit. Did I state your conditions correctly?
Much better than I did.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Teresa.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Sandberry. So we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Dulick?
Should this motion include the time limit explicitly of the 1 year?
For the minutes, probably, you know, knowing, I'm assuming that would be covered in the letter of memorandum, but
I just want to make
Mr.
sure.
Trosek, do you agree with adding the condition that this billboard would be up for no longer than 1 year?
I do, and it was my understanding that would be part of the memorandum of understanding. But yes, for the minutes of this meeting, yes.
I'd like to add another piece in there just to make sure that we are all on the same page, that, you know, upon the year exist temporary piece, after that we work directly with, the appointed people to make sure that we are, following up on everything that I'm sitting here talking to you guys about a permanent piece. That's not something that we just take lightly. So if that was something that you guys would like to include in the memorandum, we're quite fine with including that.
Yeah,
Mr. Johnson?
thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I would recommend that the memorandum of understanding include that 1 year time limit and then a kind of a time frame of approval of the replacement piece to ensure that it's has time to be fully approved by the time we hit that 1 year time limit so that it can be installed at 1 year instead of just starting an approval process in
Right.
1 year.
All right, Mr. Tarasek, do you agree with that addition?
I do.
All right, Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Yes, all right. We'll happily put more conditions in there. If you can. So thank you. So, all right, any further discussion? That's any, Mr. Nelson, please. Call roll.
Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations.
all so much.
We look forward to seeing this.
We
up
appreciate
and
you guys.
Seeing you back soon to discuss the permanent piece.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we're going to have a kickoff party once that's all complete. So we'll make sure to invite you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
You too. We'll then move on to our third applicant, located at West Street, Hidden History, West 9th Street, Landscaping and Signage. Like to welcome the applicant. Oh, there you go. You're still muted.
There we go. Sorry. I'm Eileen Cassidy, Executive Director of Historic Warehouse District Development Corporation. I'll start by saying many of you may remember we came to the commission just over a year ago with a project, and it was one site that we wanted to do a little parklet and expand our narrative about historical stories on West 9th. And at that time, we were told, let's pause, step back, let's kind of develop the whole vision instead of coming to us like piece by piece by piece. So great recommendation, and that's what we've done, and we'll present here. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the project. We're focusing on Water Street, which is now West 9th Street, and locations between Front and Superior that have stories of historical significance, and in almost all cases, some remnant and hint or nod to that history. This will be done through signage in two places, a little bit of a parklet by adding a bench and enhancing landscaping around the signage, making a little vignette in that area. And those are the dots there that we'll detail next. Next slide. Oh, this is kind of what I just said. Next slide. Pardon me. Next slide. Yep. Okay. If you look at number 1, that's where our Lighthouse Park project currently exists. There once stood Cleveland's first lighthouse on that site. The steps up to the lighthouse still remain, and the Historic Warehouse District Development Corporation made a substantial investment, almost $500,000, into a parklet that sits in front of the Archer building. And so using those assets as kind of a template to continue that story is what we've done here. Across the street is the site where lot number 1 was, and it's where the marker lived, where the Spafford and Pease map is indicated on the Spafford and Pease maps, again, the northwest corner. If you look down at, why'd I use green? Number 4 at West 9th and Superior, that is the southwest marker. So we want to recognize those two sites as they appeared on the map. Site number 3 and site number 5. Site number 3 is the site's actually the planter bed area that sits adjacent to a parking lot, totally decimated. The plants have all died. The dogs enjoy it most, and they leave remnants there. But it sits adjacent to the Marshall building, and there's some fabulous ghost signs that are very legible, and we want to call those out and point to those. Number 5 is the W.S. Gilkey building. Also a fabulous ghost sign there that we want to call out. Next slide, please. So site number 6, the lake apparently used to go all the way up to about Front Street. And then there were bluffs that got filled over time. That's why the lake shoreline is where it is today. And we want to put a sign about that narrative. It's called Changing Shorelines. Sites number 7 and 8 are both buildings that had lower level storefronts. So historically, at the sidewalk level, there were steps that went down to a retail spot. So you could walk in street level to one retail or go down the steps to the other business. And we want to acknowledge that. And actually, site number 9, we've taken off. The Superior Viaduct Park, when we walk the site, it's just not, it's too far from West 9th and disconnected, so we've since removed that. Next slide. We're using Lighthouse Park as the model for the style of furniture, the colors, the plantings, and primarily the signage. So this already exists. You can see the Lighthouse Park sign in the upper right-hand corner. Next slide. So included in this project is a refresh of Lighthouse Park. The original plantings were perennials and grasses. The grasses, you can see the red dots there, sit behind the park. When they, grow, they're taller than the wall. They were planted, in hindsight, we're told too close, didn't get enough water, they died. We're going to replace all those. And then we want to replace, which was perennials, with bushes that you can see on the upper right-hand corner. Next slide. So this would be a new site. We're calling it Surveyor's Landmark. It is the northwest corner again, marking, it's northwest corner marking on the Spafford and Pease map from which the city was plotted out. Lot number 1 actually sat on that site. And we'll do a nod to this with signage, which will be mounted on the fence. Install one bench. It's the same style of bench at Lighthouse Park. You can see the color there is chili. It'll be a backed bench. And then put in new landscaping. You can see the plan for the landscaping. And I'm sorry, I should have pointed out the plants. Worked with Jim McKnight on the plant selection. They were in a previous slide. We'll be working with Great Lakes Construction on this project. They're the contractors that did Lighthouse Park, Schill Landscaping, and Signature Sign. Next slide. We'll do a sign at the Southwest Surveyor's Landmark. This is the 820 Superior building, working with the property owner. He's all on board. This site will have simply a sign on the side of the building. It's a busy intersection, but when you're crossing the street, it'll attract your attention. And the fact that it's one of a series of 7, as you walk down West 9th, we're excited to be telling that story. Next slide. This is the first location of the ghost sign vignette. So you can see the ghost signs there kind of in the center picture. That's the Marshall Place building. The image to the right, strong draft of ghost signs. We actually have found some fabulous vintage pictures of ghost signs that we'll use. The narrative, we'll just talk about ghost signs, what to look for, and some specific information about the ghost signs that are seen at this footprint. I'm in conversation with the parking lot owner. They're excited. As you can see, that place, it needs some love. This is West 9th and Johnson Court. The owners are doing some improvements. They're improving the lighting. They have torn out a lot of broken fence that they don't intend to replace at this time. And we would collaborate in replacing as much landscaping as possible. We have a pending grant, a casino revenue grant. If that comes through, we're going to be able to re-landscape that whole footprint. We would install one bench in the planter bed, not in the sidewalk amenity. And it would be the backless bench shown there down on the lower left. Next slide. The other location is the W.S. Gilkey building. We have owner's permission. He's excited. We would place sign only on that frontage piece underneath where the address is shown. And that too is just a draft picture. He said, he's got a fabulous vintage picture that's brilliant and very very definable. So we'll probably end up using that for the sign. And I should note, totally aware, we'll be going through the proper permitting processes, getting the obstruction permit, where we're putting in landscaping and bench, and getting a sign permit where only a sign is proposed. Next slide. Oh, that's it.
All right, thank you for the presentation. We will then move on to our Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Greater Downtown Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on the 17th. They did not have quorum at that time, but the committee members that were present did discuss the plans for landscaping and maintenance, extended maintenance for the sites, for who would be taking care of that for the next few years. The question of how are the mounted signs installed? Are they would need to be installed through mortar joints, carefully considered with the historic buildings as well as other signage on the buildings. And overall, the committee members present were very supportive, great for this beautification of the street and telling the history, but just some kind of questions on the little details for the project.
Excellent, thank you. And then Landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Landmark staff also, we support this this concept and this overall project, but feel there's a little more detail needed. I did want to share that based on code, this is considered informational signage, so it's limited to 4 square feet per sign. Don't have measured drawings for this, which would be very helpful, and also, drawings of the elevations, which would show the exact locations where these signs are being mounted. I understand some of them are going to be on a fence. We want to ensure that they're readable and not, sort of below any plantings. But it appears that some of the signs may be within the 4 square foot limit, and others might be larger and would require a variance. But again, without those sort of details and precise measured drawings that show where they're going to be, how they're going to be installed, and the exact locations of the signage, it's tough to tell. So I guess we feel like there's a bit more detail needed for an approval, but as I said, we are supportive of the idea and the concept behind all this.
Okay, thank you for that feedback and recommendation. Before we open up the floor to the commission, would the applicant like to respond to the sizes of the signs? I'm sorry if I missed that also.
We have 2 sizes. In the 2 that would be attached to fence in the vignettes, 24 by 36. So it sounds like those will need a variance. The other ones, 16 by 24, and those would fall within the under square foot or under 4 square foot.
Thank you. Okay, then we will open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. I guess I will start off then. Related to the sizes of the signs, I guess my personal preference would be that the signs are all mounted at a similar height and a similar size, so that it could be that recognizable element that, moves throughout the district. And it doesn't require you to look multiple, directions. Having that either be a pole mounted sign, in the situations where it's near a fence, and then building mounted in the other situations. And my preference would be to do them all the same size. Yes, probably at the 16 by 24, so that a variance is not required. But overall, I just started with this. I really do like the approach, and I do like, the locations that you're recognizing. So I'm in support of that, but I do agree that we need more detail related to this. And my recommendation would be to align the sizes of the signs so that there's one size and that all signs are mounted approximately in the same, height, and so that people can recognize them through the district. So that is my feedback. Other questions and comments from the commission? Sam Berry?
Thank you. I'm very much in support of this. I think it's a great idea. And I guess I would just suggest that maybe there's a way to add like a QR code or something to this so that you can follow along with a website or something like that. And this could become a historic walking tour down the street. Just other ways to engage people in this.
Yeah, thank you. There is plans to put it on our website and include a QR code. And we actually have a program that you can do a walking tour on your phone. So it'll be linked to that. We do that for our anthology project, and we have a historic building walking map in the warehouse district. So it kind of follow that format.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Stanberry. Other questions and comments from the commission? Bueller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm very much in support of this. I think it's great. It's a little hard to get to kind of grasp the extent just from the presentation materials. So what I'm seeing looks very promising. I definitely am very much in alignment with Madam Chair's concerns about size consistency and height consistency. I think that's really essential, and consistency, respectful attachment to the buildings. And just a minor point though, I think that for the ones that have the maps, I didn't see on there, and this is probably going to be part of your final graphics, would be the "you are here" piece. Like when you see a historic map like that, and then "you are here," I think that would really, I don't know whether it's a red star, whatever it is, but anyways, that "you are here" piece, if that could be incorporated into any of them that include maps, it would just be kind of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dulick. Other questions and comments from the commission? Not seeing any. Would someone like to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Any conditions?
With conditions that the size be evaluated to be consistent throughout the entire program.
Do you align with staff's recommendation that measured drawings for the signs
Yes.
themselves and a site plan with exact locations be submitted to staff for their review?
Yes.
And
I think that
record?
would be a good requirement.
And then evaluating how the signs are mounted so that they're aligned with mortar joints and or at a
They
consistent.
do say that in the application
Oh, they do? Okay,
or
perfect.
in the presentation.
Perfect. Sorry, I missed that one. Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have did we capture all the conditions?
I guess to have one clarification, are you proposing that with the consistent throughout the program that they all be within the 4 square foot limited by code, or do you want to also grant a variance for any of the signs that are larger than 4 square feet? I think right now they have.
Well, I think our recommendation would be all of them be the same,
Okay.
whether that's all larger or all smaller.
I guess, yeah, I guess, so if they're all the same and they're over 4 square foot, each one would need a variance. So you can grant a variance to allow them to be larger, or you could just say that they have to be within 4 square feet.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Some of the areas, like the building, like 1138, the Gilkey building, for example, the Loss on West 9th, and the Hart building, available space only allows the sign to be like 16 by 24. And it fits perfect there. And there's no obstruction, right? Because you're walking, it's eye height, it's perfect. And I totally, the intention is to have consistency among those signs. The 2 parklets, however, are going to be landscaped. And I think a small sign may get lost in that landscaping as there's grasses and plants, etc. So in those 2, would it be possible to get a variance for those 2 sites? The sign would be proportionally consistent, just bigger, but we'd have consistency with proportion and certainly look. But I'm afraid something smaller, again, with the landscaping, may get lost.
So do you agree with granting variances where required
Yes, I
upon
think-
approval of staff?
Yeah, we can grant
review
the
and approval of
variance where
site
required.
of staff's review of the details.
Yes.
Is that appropriate? Okay, so we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second? Mr. Dulick?
I will second, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you, Mr. Dulick. We have motion second. Any further discussion? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate the additional context of why the signage are two different sizes. So I would be in support of having those not necessarily all be consistent, but based on the type of sign, whether it's building mounted or landscape mounted, those would be consistent among those types. And again, would be in favor of granting any variances that would be required.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lozier. So shall we reiterate the conditions just to make sure we're all clear? Okay, so if I've heard it correctly with the interpretation of the variances, is your condition to approve as presented with the condition that the signs have consistency across the program, whether that's one or two different sizes, and if a larger size is needed based upon staff's review and approval, then a variance is granted?
Yes, and that the, site plans and measured drawings be submitted with installation details to precisely identify where these signs will be located.
To staff for
To staff for review, yes.
All right. Any further discussion? That's it. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg?
Yes.
Mr. Trassick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Have a great day.
You too.
We'll then move on to our next applicant located 10809 Clifton Boulevard, renovations.
Morning.
Good morning.
Mike Lemmeyer with Dunright Exteriors, representing the homeowner, Mr. Dan May. So thanks for having us here. It was a long ride to get here. Yes, and the homeowners are very thankful to be moving this down the road to improving their property. So if we could go to the first slide here.
You can actually advance your slides too with a little maximum. There's a slight delay when you hit the
Okay.
vote button to when it advances, so just have a little
Perfect.
patience.
This is Mr. Dan May's home as it exists right now. The facade is definitely one that we want to keep, all the styling lines, the freeze boards, the trim on the corner, the freeze board along the bottom here at the sill. The idea is to keep this architectural value as we just upgrade the home to be maintenance free, to have a more vibrant look about it, a little more modern color. And this is from the left side here. Again, we're going to keep the same trim lines as what they are here on the left, as well as on the upper dormer, keeping the same corner profiles and so forth. And the right side of the home here, keeping the same freeze boards. That really does add a level of beauty to the home. That's very common to be found in some of the older homes. And on the next slide here, here is the rear of the home, where you have, again, the same architectural aesthetics that we're going to keep, again, just changing color. And the rear from the other angle. So one of the big concerns was making the front of the home look as period correct as possible. So mimicking or mirroring the same type of profile of siding with a composite material. So we do have a composite material that resembles this here on the front of the home with a 1 inch projection and close to that 6 3/8 exposure. Here is the scope of work as we go through the presentation. This will represent the scope of work for the side. So what we're presenting on the front of the home is an Everlast composite material. In our opinion, it's probably the #1 material when it comes to maintenance free, ease of installation, and it also gives the same appearance as close as you possibly can with a composite material without fiber cement. The idea again is to go as maintenance free as possible. So the colors that we would choose are the saddlewood, which is there in the middle. They offer several different colors. And again, this was a good home to show that we can replicate what the current home has. And this is an actual cutaway of the panel to show it's very robust, right? It is very, very thick. It is going to give you that 6 3/8 close to exposure while projecting fairly close. You can see the interlocking ability here where the top panel locks into the panel below, which is going to give it a very, very rigid lifetime application. Here's a little article of why architects choose the Everlast siding. We've installed this on other projects at Shaker Heights and so on, and they really appreciated this product here. The design, it's to replicate the wood look, to give you that solid cedar appearance. In many cases, it exceeds code compliance, or this product here can be installed next to shorelines, oceanfront properties and so on to give you that wind compliance as well. It is not going to be impervious to water, where vinyl siding needs that vapor barrier to be very relevant. This is primarily depending on the siding and the siding alone. Sustainability, this is also made out of recycled materials, which is obviously good for our environment. One of the biggest concerns with the composite materials are the dust and the particles that not only our crew has to work in, like your hardy projects, but also for the surrounding homeowners. The debris and the dust that comes from cutting this is not hazardous at all. This is a representation of the saddlewood color and the distinct wood grain. And then on the sides and the rear of the home is a 044 siding, cedar knolls made by Norandex. It's a upper grade vinyl siding, which we can almost exactly spot on match color. There are a couple of differences when we go through, obviously, the comparison vinyl siding versus the composite, but there are some really good features to it. One is the thickness. 2 is the deep locking area, which is also going to give you that projection not quite 1 inch, but it's deeper than your typical vinyl siding. You also have the ability to have the reinforced nailing flange, so it's not going to be affected by some of the high winds we receive here in the wintertime. And the color is amazing. The color hold that Norandex has in 15 years is by far superior compared to any of the competition. So being able to keep that same dark color from the front to the sides is very important to the home as well as to the homeowner. So picking a siding that is going to keep that color over a period of time. The exposure is 5 inches on the sides and the rear, where the front is the 6 3/8. And here's a representation of the fade factor here at 15 years compared to competition. It's very, very different, much better. And the color of choice here would be the carbon, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide. And the representation here, I apologize, that does show a very similar wood grain pattern. However, I could not find a good slide to have it expand and show the same. And here is the color scheme that the customers here have chose. Still sticking with the white windows grids where they are currently, and all the white trim going to black. So all the freeze boards, corners, soffits and fascias to be black, and the body of the siding to be the carbon color. And here's a rendering on the right side of the home. Again, carrying all the same architectural lines and so forth. And the right rear of the home, dormers staying with the same color scheme as existing, or architectural value is existing, different color scheme. And the left side of the home. Oh, it's gonna collect and it's gonna go through. All right. Okay, and then I think we skipped a few. Okay. And up, yep, right there. Back one. Thank you very much. So also a part of the project is replacing the windows with the white window, double hung where double hung, and keeping the grids where they are. We would be presenting a high-end replacement window. As far as the specs that we offer, it's the highest end window that we have.
They had a point.
Should I do it again?
No, there you go.
Yes. So here's a representation of the windows that have the grid pattern in the top and not in the lower sash. We're going to continue that, but we're trying to mirror what was in the home previously to keep that same architectural value. Both sashes tilt in for easy cleaning. Some of the high-end features here are where the meeting rails, the two windows come together, having multiple seal points where they overlap and have a finger-like connection. So you're going to have a good seal no matter what temperature swing inside, outside, and the winds. that we endure here in Cleveland. And then our intercept spacer, which is our stainless steel top of the line spacer to give you the most efficiency that we can offer. Again, going into the meeting rail, locking, and then the slope sill. A lot of replacement windows. They direct the water into the frame, which is not a good design or idea. This has a complete slope sill to direct the water to the outside, to keep the water on the outside, and to resemble, you know, a good window, not cheesy or inexpensive. All the frames and sashes are foam filled to give the absolute most efficiency as well as the strength and durability. This is our Integrity Series here. This is replicating and explaining more of the window as well as the low E coating. So they are low E coated to reflect the UV rays. Obviously, that's no good to have on the interior of your home. It warms the spaces where the sun shines into the home. Also fading the carpeting and furniture. That's not going to happen here. And the low E gas that we can have installed in the window glass packs, being that we're using the upgraded Climatech package. It's 80%, which is far superior to even some of the highest end windows out there. And then this goes over more of the insulating values, also replicating what encompassed with the low E coating and the gas will do for the efficiency of the home. In a side cutaway going over some of the features of the window, this does not show the foam-filled frames in the sashes, only in the frame of the window, but it does show the multiple ceiling points, 3 in the lower sash on the sill. You have 4 at the interlocking portion, and you have 3 at the top sash where it connects into the frame there. Again, very, very high-end window.
All right, thank you for the presentation.
Yes.
We will then move on to our Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic West Cleveland Design Review Advisory Committee. It was originally reviewed in August as just the siding project and tabled by the committee at that time. They were proposing the vinyl siding throughout the entire home. And so it was tabled with a consideration that the applicants look into either retaining the front as existing or utilizing composite in the front or throughout the entire home, which with attention to detail to match those historic details and the siding width and trim widths. And so when they returned in September, the committee did not have quorum. And at that time, they were also reviewing the windows project, which the windows had been installed. And so they were coming for review of that. And so in the September 17th meeting, the committee did not have quorum, but the committee members present were appreciative of the, listening to the options that were provided and utilizing composite on the front. There were some comments on the particular composite material that's not paintable. And so they're kind of limited for future paint changes, I guess, for the home. So just kind of noting a lack of options for future siding changes, but the trim is paintable and they like that it's matching the profile of all of the trim. That the front doors retained, and then with the windows, there were a few casement windows on the side of the home that were now double hung windows, and so they were kind of lamenting that, but they did not have quorum to be able to make a recommendation.
All right, thank you for that. Then we'll move on to Landmark staff recommendation.
And thank you, Madam Chair. as you heard from Ms. Beam, there are kind of two elements to this project. There's the siding and the windows. The windows having been previously installed, which always makes review a challenge when the work is already done. The siding, I think you're kind of seeing our siding repair and replacement guide in action. This project started before that, so it was already going through the design review committee process. But essentially, this is what the new policy and guidelines would be pushing for. So the retaining of the trim features on the front, the use of an upgraded material on the front facade. So essentially, you're left with the building looking similar to how it did, with the same dimensions of siding and all trim elements, but with a different and more durable material. Staff is comfortable with the use of the siding and the use of the replacement of the siding with the product that's being proposed and the dimensions that are being proposed. The windows are already installed, which, like I said, makes it more of a challenge. We're sad to see the casement windows, which were on the 4 windows on the right-hand side that you see there. That's not something we would have been supportive of. I think
The casements are on the far right side. On this picture, they're all double hung in the front.
okay, from some old photos we saw, it looked like there were casements on those 4 windows on the right side as well. But in any case, with the windows already being installed, I think a way to potentially mitigate the replacement, because with this style of house, white trim, white windows is not inappropriate. You do see white windows in a house of this style. It's not like putting them in white windows in a Queen Anne or something like that. So our recommendation would be to use a white trim color so that the windows and the trim kind of work together. And then you have your siding color that's, something that complements that. But we feel that the house could still have a natural and appropriate look, even with the replacement windows. So that's our recommendation, that, the materials are acceptable, but we think that a change of color of the trim is necessary to make it appropriate.
Thank you. All right, then we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Mr. Bueller, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to the applicant, just so we all understand that, what is the material proposed to be?
That is aluminum brake metal that can be installed at the same dimensions of that which you have currently.
And that includes the window frames as well?
So yes. I do have a question about the trim color. You have the current trim around the windows that's 6 inches. What you're recommending is to keep that white instead of having that black and only having the frieze boards in that black.
What staff was recommending is that all of the trim would be white.
Oh,
So
instead
that,
of
the
black.
siding color would be whatever the siding color is, but yeah, no black trim. All the trim would be white, and then windows would kind of work as part of that, kind of like what you see on the screen here.
Okay.
Thank you. I definitely concur with that black trim is just not appropriate. So I think the white trim, even in the more low maintenance material, I could be in support of that. I'm concerned about, it sounds minute, but when you look at the corner of the house and you've got 6 and whatever on the front and 5 on the side, that's what your eye is going to go to, is that inconsistency. So I would suggest that I would be in support of just making the lines consistent. And a 5 inch is a pretty decent exposure, and I think it's in the spirit of the existing 6 3/8. So I think and through the chair to the applicant, does the composite siding come in a 5 inch exposure?
It does not.
Okay.
Affordability was what the customer was trying to do while maintaining, the recommendations. The whole house in And the composite just really becomes very astronomical.
Through the chair, what were the alternative materials explored for the front facade siding? What was explored?
So we explored either painting, which the customer did not want to do, or a composite material. After reviewing the hardy type of material, hardy actually requires more maintenance than wood. So that's really not trying to follow that low maintenance program that the customer is after.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dula. Other questions and comments from the commission? Sam Berry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is going to happen to the existing siding? Do you need to remove that to place the new siding on the front?
No, we're gonna go right over top of the existing siding.
And so the same with the trim, that means you're gonna get a thicker, a deeper window recession, right?
It will be about 3/4 of an inch deeper than what it is right now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Samberry. For clarification, what material were the original windows?
The original windows that were there were wood windows.
Right, and were they explored keeping them or they were just pulled? And what was done with them? Were they discarded or was anything saved?
Yeah, they were discarded.
Were the mullions applied to the so assuming then if they were wood, the mullions were originally applied to the exterior in the windows. Are the mullions applied to the exterior of the windows now or are they internally contained?
They're internally.
And did you replace are these the new windows or old windows that we're looking at?
Those are the old windows.
So did you do 6/1 for everything or looks like you have some 4/4s too? Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, Madam Chair, those are the ones that at least staff interpreted as the casement windows. They just have a triple track in front of them, which makes them, look a little weird.
Yeah.
But kind of gives them a 4/4 appearance, but I believe they're just 8-pane casement windows.
Yes.
Yeah, with true divided lights.
And were they replaced with, you said double hung, but were they replaced with the muttons on the top sashes only, or were these full muttons throughout the entire?
They were replaced with the muttons in both on those to replicate what's here.
Yeah, that's what in the front, it looks like 6/1. So were all of them replaced with muttons in the top and the bottom, or you have a picture of the existing? Or are your renderings of the,
No, the renderings aren't, I couldn't divide that up in the renderings. They don't give me those options.
these are the new windows?
Yeah, yes. And the windows are open as well.
Appears in the top section.
Just the top sash only.
Which is what it was.
In all locations, though, even it looks like in the right-hand side, it looks like it's a 6/1.
Correct.
All right. And then another clarifying question. I'm not familiar with the Everlast composite material. What is it composite of? Or what's composition of it?
So it's made up of recycled plastics that are put together to give the ability to withstand salt water, sun, UV, that won't break down or become brittle, temperature drops. The sun, as far as the warping or the common items that you have with some of the composite materials, especially in the darker colors.
But it's just composite, it's just recycled plastic. It's not composite with wood or any fibers or anything like that.
There's no wood. There is some fiberglass that is also a part of that as well, but
Giving
there
it
is
some
no
stability.
wood.
So is that what's giving it its stability?
Yes, yes.
And we feel that meets the spirit of the siding replacement requirements.
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair, I guess the way the policy was written, it calls for upgraded materials, and this to staff would fall under that category of upgraded. Its thickness and its the makeup of it, it's certainly not your standard vinyl siding.
Okay. I mean, I think staff clearly said it, replacing the windows without our approval puts us in a very awkward position. We're retroactively, having to review things. By spirit, or not by spirit, by requirement, we do not typically approve vinyl windows. We do make exceptions though for the sides and rear because we do understand the impact, the budget impacts it does have, but typically not on the front of the building or front, well, I can say building or house. We do appreciate you, looking at all of the siding and, really working with, to meet the requirements of an upgraded material. And I could be in support of, the siding because it does meet the spirit of, our requirements. Do you have the same concern with the proportions of the different materials? But I think that's in a way resultant of our requirements, with availability of materials, and not the applicant's requirement or desire. So I could be in support of that, but I do agree with the changing the color of the trim, all trim on the house to white, similar, that is white right now, to work with the white windows on and the darker siding. Those are my thoughts and opinions. Other questions and comments from the commission? Sandberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at the building, it looks like the west elevation is broken up into a projecting bay and a recessed bay. I would almost suggest that projected bay be the 6-inch composite material instead of the vinyl. Or if you can go to, another view from this angle.
Do you mean like that west elevation towards the front, like that
Yeah.
visible facade right there?
That visible facade.
And then when it turns towards the back elevation, it turns into the vinyl there?
Right. That looks like a good separation line. Just a suggestion. From the sidewalk,
Southwest
you are going
corner.
to see that. The north.
Is it any different than the other side? You
The other
drive
side
west.
is much larger.
Right. Okay. I would support as a
Just a suggestion.
recommendation, not a
Yes.
requirement. Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Along those lines, I would also have the suggestion of having the 6-inch siding on the full opposite side as well. So you have that, you still maintain that same consistency, whether you're looking at it from, the one direction or the other. I think I agree with Mr. Sandberry's recommendation on the other side. But I think for consistency, I would also request or suggest that be carried to the opposite side as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lozier. May I ask, is Amin the owner?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. If the owner would like to speak, if you could announce yourself.
Hello, my name is Dan, and Amin is with me also.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Morning.
Just to a couple of the points that were addressed, we're absolutely fine with the white trim happening. We are concerned about the fact that you guys are interested in the 6-inch siding going on either side of the house, just because of the expense that it will incur. And in addition to that, Mike has provided some excellent photos of our neighborhood. uh, it seems like we've really tried to go about doing things the right way, and I hate to say, I feel not penalized, but maybe held to a different standard because the house to our west um, has regular siding on all sides. It has vinyl windows that don't have the buttons that they used to have that are currently mismatched throughout the entire house. And so it is important to us that we maintain the credibility and the look of our home for the neighborhood. But I do feel like in the previous experience and maybe some of the things that are being said today, of course, in agreement with the fact that we want to keep our neighborhood um, to a standard, I feel like we're being held to a different standard.
And if I could piggyback on that, when we've presented a previous project to the committee, we were told that when we compared our project to other existing homes surrounding our area, that we're in violation of the rules that we are now becoming more familiar with as homeowners. Um, we were told that, well, those projects didn't fall into the purview of the committee. So my question is, in the event that somebody is in violation, um, what penalties are you guys enforcing when it comes to somebody doing things or making changes that are not in favor of the rules to their home? Because we are happily here presenting you guys with our renderings, even willing to change the trim on our home, and to change the composite on the outside of our home, because right now it's all wood, it's not vinyl. So to change it and replace the wood would be almost more than what the house is worth.
So I can only comment and answer some of your questions. We appreciate you and commend you for actually going through the process, because this is the right way. We can only talk about each case, or each location case by case. So I can't address what your neighbors and which ones you're referring to. In some cases, I'm sure those were not done, by pulling a permit. And if they were not, then it would be talking to the building and housing department. Because if they had pulled a permit, they would have come through us. And we are trying to be more consistent with our reviews and our for each project. And that's why we have created these guidelines so that we can provide that education. And you can help us by educating your neighbors of what the right way to do this is so that this process goes smoother. And Mr. Musson?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple other things I wanted to add. So, you're in the Clifton West Boulevard Historic District, which has only been a historic district for the last 25 years, which I guess sounds like a long time, but vinyl siding, vinyl windows have been around a bit longer. So some of the work you're seeing was done before the historic district went into place, so there was no purview.
No, this one is done in 2020, the one I'm referring to.
Yeah, it was done during COVID.
Okay, I guess, in addition, as Madam Chair mentioned, some people do work without permits. When that's the case, we rely on building and housing to go out and cite them for work without a permit, in which case they should be required to pull a permit, and then they have to come before this body, or, face fines. Also the boundaries of the historic district really just extend down West Boulevard and across Clifton Boulevard. So in the neighborhood, kind of behind you or across the street, it's not in the historic district. So if you see work going on
No,
there.
I'm
it's-
referring to
no,
the
okay,
house just directly to the west of us, literally next door.
gotcha.
And
And
then your
we're
best avenue
heading-
would be to get building and housing.
understood. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. We can talk offline about that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's because, and you are part of the help us reinforce the importance of these historic districts and maintaining it and doing everything that you're doing. So I hope that addressed your questions and we appreciate you being here and being amendable to changing the color of the trim so it's more historically appropriate.
Most definitely.
Other questions and comments from the commission? Would someone like to put forward a motion? Do you need a motion to continue the meeting moving forward? Would someone like to put forward a motion? Mr. Dulac?
Madam Chair, I have a question before the motion.
Go ahead, Ms. Gray.
This comes from Gray. Yes. Is this house in the historical district or not?
Yes, it's in the historic district.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dulac?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion to approve is presented with the requirement that the trim be white, consistent with the previously installed windows.
Would Mr. Musson, for clarification, do we need to approve the windows as installed?
Yes, yeah,
Is that part of the permit that they pulled?
So this kind of started as two separate cases, one for vinyl siding, one for windows. We're treating it as one case, renovations. So it's, the siding and the windows. So they are seeking a retroactive approval of the window installation in addition to the siding installation.
Okay, so Mr. Dulac, as part of your motion, are you approving the retroactive windows retroactively?
Retroactive reluctantly, but retroactively approval of the windows.
For this case, since they did reinforce the original mutton pattern and upgraded material. So we have a motion with some conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Lull, we have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulac?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry?
Yeah.
Mr. Tresick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Right. Thank you. We'll then move on to our next applicant located southwest corner of Clifton and West Boulevard, new construction, West Cliff Townhomes.
Morning, everyone. I'm Ryan Arth with Smart Built Development representing this site. I will try to make this brief for the people who've already sat through this once.
There's a pause. Usually not that much. There you go.
There we go. Okay, so the site in question is at the southwest corner of Clifton and West Boulevards. There are actually two parcels in triangles there is how it's separated. And as late as 2002, there was a home on the west parcel there that has been removed. There was a previous plan for 6 townhomes on this site that was tabled in 2022 due to construction costs. And so we're coming back with something smaller that is more median priced for the neighborhood and hopefully is acceptable. So this is a current view of the site from both boulevards. There's nothing there other than some debris and remnants of the previous walkway. This is details on the site. And the only thing interesting on this is that there's an existing driveway on the south side off West Boulevard that the neighbor currently uses. And each unit has 2 garage spaces and there's 3 garage spaces on the site. This is a site plan just showing the existing concrete and some of the utility connections. So this is the updated site plan. What has changed since the last time I presented is On the north end, we made a semicircle there to be able to pile snow during the winter. That's obviously buffered by landscaping, and then the other snow zone is driving the driveway directly back to the guest parking spaces and piling the snow on the grass there. And then we did a recommendation of DRAC, remove some of the concrete on the south property line in order to have a little bit more green space where the driveway for the neighbor cuts off, just to reduce concrete. And then the walkways for the individual units were extended to get back to the motor court and then to connect to the driveway to get to the sidewalk on West Boulevard there. So I just spoke about the first part there. Trash is going to be taken to the curb on pickup day, and the city has confirmed that that's okay with them. So a couple changes that came after DRAC that I was not able to get updated on the renderings in time is that we're going to push the porches further down to grade to eliminate the railings, which DRAC thought made it a little too busy. So we're trying to exchange that for hedges as opposed to railings. And then at the northwest and northeast corners of the porches that face Clifton, we're going to accentuate the landscaping wrapping around those corners to tie the corners of the property a little bit better. And then we're putting 5-inch trim profiles around the windows to accentuate them a little bit more as well. So material selections, we are asking for a Provia Cedar Max insulated vinyl siding on the facade all the way around with a double 6-inch profile to more mimic boards. And it's 0.05 thick and has R2.4 insulation behind it. There's no painting or caulk sealing ever needed for the residents. And we looked at LP SmartSide and Hardy Board for this, but we have about 3,600 square feet of siding that faces the two boulevards. And we have 4 different colors of materials that face those two boulevards that if we tried to then match vinyl on the back, we would have to match up 4 different colors from different suppliers, which is tricky. And we also have just straight lap siding, and then we have cedar shake now as well. So we have multiple different materials, and the cedar shake is a 7-inch profile. That's actually in the top right corner, not that color though. So we had presented a 7-inch siding and a 7-inch vinyl shake. DRAC asked us to push the profile down from 7 to make it smaller. They have a double 6, and that's what we're looking at there. The other is a triple 4-inch, which I thought was a little on the small side relative to the 7-inch profile of the shake that's being presented. Other than that, the windows in the lower right there are a vinyl window, the high end of what Provia makes in sandstone with cottage grids. We can do the grids on the exterior if that's what is desired. And then, like I said, we would trim them in 5-inch board in order to give it a little bit more of a historic look. We did look at composite windows. We reduced the number of windows on those two facades, but we still have 44 windows that face those two boulevards. And so increasing to a fiberglass window is at least 50% more on 44 windows, which is still significant. So these are the materials and colors. We did add a little bit more color, specifically the aspen in the top right-hand corner after the last time I met with Landmarks, and they asked for a little bit more variation. So the western building, the facade that faces Clifton will be in that aspen, and then the southern unit on the western building as well would be in that aspen. Both of them would have that antique white in the middle, and then the eastern building would have the clay color in the top center there on its southernmost and northernmost buildings. And the cedar shake on both would be the bottom. So the cedar would be the same color. That's it. There we go. So the site plan or the floor plan nothing has changed since the last time it was presented from this view effectively. So these are the updated elevations. Most significantly, the top here is the view from Clifton Boulevard, which we actually did take some recommendations from Mr. Musson and Mr. Dulick to add that gabled portion that is cedar shake in order to make it more mimic the front of a house. So we added the front porch as well. So the house will now or those units will now face Clifton Boulevard, the front door. They will have a porch roof that wraps around to West Boulevard as well. And they will have that gabled portion that is cedar shake in order to better mimic the front of a house. We did take, if you look at the lower left, we took the cedar shake and wrapped it around the corner so that we didn't have two dissimilar sidings meeting at that visible corner of West Boulevard and Clifton. So that cedar does come around the side there. And so we added, in that lower left, we added a front porch on the left unit, and then the right unit that wraps around. If we went all the way across, it just started to look more like the front of one of the commercial strips with the awnings because it was just a continuous line. So this is actually mimicked on the rear building as well. So it will have the same two units, will have the porch roofs, in the center one would not. And so the top here is the view from pulling in the driveway to the south. And then the lower is actually the view from the west. So that's, facing to the west, and the porches obviously on the left go along to Clifton. So those will be significant porches. Even the smallest one there on the single unit is 20 feet by 8 feet. So they'll have a good front porch, covered porch, similar to the other houses on Clifton and West Boulevard. This is the landscape plan. So there are two large silver maples on the Clifton side. They're both semi-dead or dead. So those will have to be removed. And then we're planning on replacing those based on DRAC comments with a couple of pin oaks in order to provide screening from Clifton. And eventually they'll grow in and kind of block some of the massing of the buildings. The rest of the landscaping is mostly wrapped around the porches of the units, and then the walkway that goes down to Clifton Boulevard will have large screening in order to block the motor court from Clifton Boulevard. And we're using mostly evergreen there so that it's year-round screening. These are renderings. They're somewhat shaded here, but renderings of the facades with the porch roofs. We did increase the pitch of the roof a little bit to more mimic the existing houses there. And so most significant is the lower picture there, which shows the aspen siding added to the building to the east in order to make them not look like twins, but more like sisters, which was also a recommendation from Landmarks and Mr. Dulick. So we have the porch roofs there. We'll have two large trees blocking Clifton that eventually will grow in. That is, the gabled portion is cedar shake. And then, the colors of the shake will be the same, but, the colors of the rear half siding on those two units there will be different. And obviously you see the screening of the motor court there represented. So we're hoping that gets us more of a look of homes from Clifton than what we had previously presented. And this is just a larger view of what the actual street corner would look like from Clifton and West Boulevard. There's a bus stop in the lower right-hand corner that's not represented here, but other than that, this is basically the look that we're going for with the two pin oaks planted that aren't represented here. And the railings that you can lightly see along those porches would disappear. So that's the plan at this time. And that is the end of the presentation.
All right, thank you for the presentation and focusing on what has been changed. We appreciate that. We will then move on to local design review committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed most recently by the Historic West Cleveland Design Review Advisory Committee on the 17th. They did have quorum and recommended the issuance of certificate of appropriateness with a number of conditions. and recommendations and considerations. And so the discussion that they had, they were appreciative of the kind of materials palette, but noted like there can be some scale changes to make it blend in. The thicker profile for the trim might be help the project. As our applicant noted, they did like to see either like a hedge or landscaping or a seating wall instead of the metal railing on the porches. They were very happy to see the porches included, even though they didn't see that, but to hear that they were included at the time. And noted encouraged the use of the pin oaks along Clifton and that robust landscaping to just provide decent shading, protection with like the evergreens and the oaks, and to fit the large amount of large shade trees in the neighborhood. And wanted to see like a concrete walkway from the driveway to the sidewalk to connect the homes directly to the sidewalks like all the other homes in the area are. So the kind of issuance of certificate of recommendation or certificate of appropriateness recommendation had a preference for the door with the glazing in it, the low wall instead of the railings, use of preferably an alternate material, such as like composite material on the primary facades instead of the proposed vinyl, confirmation of the proposed setbacks since the homes seem further forward than the homes on Clifton, more robust landscaping with large shade trees, connecting walkway, and overall a lot of the comments were addressed in our current presentation. And overall they were happy to see the changes and appreciated the applicants listening from previous meetings.
So thank you. We'll then move on to Landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Landmark staff is also grateful to the applicant for kind of taking into consideration the comments from this body and from the local design review committee and incorporating that into the revised design. We think the design is coming along nicely. I think would like to see a little more detail. We like a measured site plan that shows some context so we can kind of see how the setback works with the neighboring properties, and just some sort of context images to see a broader scope of how it fits in with the streetscape would be helpful. But otherwise, we appreciate you listening to the comments and taking those into consideration. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Would you like to start us off? All right, I will. What is the height of the porches off grade?
I don't know right now. I know that code requires that I have to be at least 18 inches. So we were trying to shoot for as close to grade as possible. So that's the goal. That would also eliminate the steps or reduce the steps in the garage, which infringe upon the parking space. So the goal will be 18 inches.
Was it 15 or 18 for handrails? Guardrails. 30 is guard, which 18 is rails? 30 is rails?
Yeah.
Okay. I personally don't mind the rails, and that's my personal opinion. Shown in your rendering. If they were there though, I would recommend them to go to more historically appropriate height, in like a 24-30-inch height versus the 42 to meet a guardrail.
Okay.
Because you are closer to grade. You could actually do that, and it might provide containment of those spaces and more usability. Or like the local had said, a wall, retaining wall. I wasn't understanding that. Was that at the little turning?
They were recommending either hedges, landscaping, or a short stone wall, which given the posts from the porch roofs, I thought might clash a bit or not go together very well.
So I personally like railings for just creating that space of those porches, especially a corner like this that has a lot of busy traffic, but at a more historically appropriate height and with more historically appropriate proportions than a lighter, more delicate rail. So that's my personal opinion, which is different than local, but I do like how the details that the railings can add to the front. I do appreciate you listening to us and taking it into account and really incorporating a little bit more of the historical language into the elevations. My only comment would be my personal opinions. I would love to see that brick in the porch on the Clifton sides wrap all the way to the corners where your transition material is.
Okay.
Just because then it feels more appropriate. It doesn't feel like a side. It really does create more appropriate language on those two structures.
Fair enough. So take it to where the downspout runs down right there.
Correct, which
Sure.
may require you to nudge up your window, which I'm assuming is in your stairs, but I
Mhm.
think, it could be really help, that space.
Obviously,
I,
at the moment, we were just going for the symmetry from the corner of them being of equal
Right.
length on both boulevards, but that absolutely can be done.
I think it really then anchors them as if it could be interpreted as the front. Well, it is the front of those two units, rather than the side of the overall mass. It's really the front of the unit.
Okay.
So that's my personal opinion. I do appreciate and would like the grids to be added to the exterior of the windows. We do make exceptions for new construction, but I think putting the grids on the exterior would really help reinforce all of the care that you're putting into this design.
Mhm.
And I do agree with staff's requirements of just the staff, street images to help understand the full scope and how it fits in, and the measured site plan so that they can, or was that already included? Did you do the measured site plans? I saw your setbacks in there.
The site plan that we presented for fire has many, thank you. Many dimensions on there, but I don't know if it has everything that you're looking for.
Okay, so working with staff to get the site plan appropriately noted, for record. But overall, I'm in support of the project and appreciate you listening to our feedback from last meeting.
One clarifying question. So if you want to wrap the brick to where the two materials come together on Clifton, would you like to see the porch roof extended to the termination of the brick there as well?
My personal opinion is probably,
Mhm.
not working through the design myself, but probably would make sense because it really then anchors that as the front. You're like
Got it.
3/4 of the way there, so just taking it, I
Sure.
think could really reinforce the language of your neighbors and so forth.
Okay.
So yeah, I would do the brick and the porch.
Fair enough.
But other questions and comments or feedback from the commission? Mr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I would add my voice to the thanks for constructively engaging with both the design review committee and with this body. We really do appreciate it. And I think the massing improvements, I think they make this whole thing feel more at home in this neighborhood, which is what we are at the end of the day really all about. I think I full support of Madam Chair's suggestions of both the extending the material of the brick and the porch. I think those are great suggestions. That'll take it even farther to feeling actually more in proportion with the scale of the kind of porches you see on both West Boulevard and on Clifton. So I think that's a great idea. And I will say that the exterior plywood no mullions will give it that extra layer of additional love, which is good. I think I would also say that the whole twins idea, I appreciate addressing that. I'm not sure if it's going far enough. It's almost, because the symmetry is there, it's only mitigated by the fact that one side is on the corner and one side is not. So, and I think the color schemes you've chosen, I think, are very appropriate, and the differentiation of colors is subtle. Really like the green. And sitting here, I'm of two minds about whether the twins thing is a problem or not visually. So I'd probably suggest that just work with staff to get the appropriate balance. I think it's the corner elements being the same. Right now it looks okay, but I think just further study of color differentiation with landmark staff is what I would like to suggest, because it'd have to be studied. But overall, full support and appreciate all that you're doing. And it'd be wonderful to see something on this corner. It's been a long time.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Other, Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also in agreement. I think there's been a lot of really great progress since the last time we saw this. And I am in agreement with Madam Chair and Mr. Julick's commentary about the adjustments as noted previously. I too also would concur that I think that while there's been some good differentiation between the two structures, they still, to me, feel, like twins. One has, green eyeshadow, the other has, doesn't have eyeshadow on it, for instance. So, thinking about how, as Madam Chair had suggested, bringing the brick all the way to the sort of that differentiation point on the eastern home, maybe you don't do that on the western home, so that they feel related, they're not sort of mirror images of one another. But again, I think that would need to be studied a little bit more, and I would be comfortable if you did study that, reviewing that with staff for further consideration. But I agree. I think that this has come a long. I think you started with a pretty good iteration. I think it's certainly improved over the subsequent adjustments. So I appreciate that tremendously. I don't know how I feel about the vinyl, as this is new. I would really like to see that on the West Boulevard and Clifton be upgraded materials. I'm less concerned about matching the coloration of composite material on those primary facades, and then the vinyl on the sort of internal facing. Just because I feel like, especially with the middle section, they're so far removed from one another. I don't think you would ever really perceive. I don't know that you would pick up the color difference between kind of those ones. And I'm less concerned about, again, the material on the west side of the west townhomes that looks onto the neighboring house, and that being an upgraded material. So I guess I'm trying to balance the cost of things, but with trying to maintain our consistency with upgraded materials on the street facing facades.
Thank you.
And I guess that's also related to my comment with the brick, because I think that helps, really provide that upgraded material on the Clifton side. Other questions and comments from the commission? Would someone like to make a motion? We need a motion to keep the meeting moving forward. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Julick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve as presented with the consideration. Actually, I think it's a requirement to study and extend one or both of the porches along Clifton Boulevard. I think to study the inclusion of railings at historically appropriate height. And study of the differentiation of colors between the two buildings, all to be reviewed by Landmarks at a staff level. I know, Mr. Lozier, did I get everything? I'm not sure if you want to add. I guess I welcome your input on encouraging the use of upgraded materials on the street facades.
Is that a recommendation?
Yeah, it's a recommendation
All right.
to upgrade the materials.
And-
Definitely extend the brick. I guess I forgot to mention that. The extension of the brick is, I would make that a requirement.
Okay, and I recommend adding the requirements to submit a measured site plan with setbacks and then the streetscape images per staff.
And a requirement for the exterior applied mullions as well.
All right, so we have a motion.
One point of clarification, the extended brick along Clifton, is that for both buildings or just one, similar to the porches? Kind of study that.
I think
figure out what
study
works.
it one or both. I think I would like to, the staff would need to see that. So thank you.
So we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
And Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull? Yes. Mr. Sambry?
Yes.
Mr. Tresick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you
We
very
look forward to
much.
seeing your project move forward.
Thank you.
What's the timeline?
We were hoping if we could get all of our approvals to break ground before the snow flies. So we're
Excellent.
kind of rushing, but it's possible.
All right, reach out to staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. We'll move on to our last applicant located at 4304 Franklin Boulevard, new addition.
Good morning, or
Morning.
almost afternoon. Am I in charge of the slides here?
You are in charge.
Oh, I feel so important. But I don't,
Delay
but I,
hitting it, especially when you're last. So just give it a moment.
Okay.
It's just, yes.
quick introduction. I'm familiar with you guys. I'm sure you're familiar with me, but me and my wife purchased this house a number of years ago out of receivership. And it had been vacant for a number of years. And actually some people from the city approached us and said, hey, I know you guys would probably turn it into a single family. And we said, well, because we put some feelers out, we said, well, it fits a lot of the bills. And one of the main things we wanted, I design and build and have been doing that for 28 years in Ohio City. And I've lived in Ohio City and trying to get out of rehabs, and I've managed to stay out of them until this one. Reason being is that we wanted something on Franklin or something, and we wanted the ability to have parking in the rear, and there's just no lots left. So we got into this rehab where the interior renovations are all done. Our family of 6 is in the house enjoying it. And now phase B, which was always the plan, was getting us some type of garage and putting an addition on the back. So we can go. And I'm here trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone as I go through this. This is kind of a twofold meeting. The first part is our existing structure on the front. We are going to be doing a new roof, painting, rejuvenating a couple wood windows on the first floor, new gutters. We're retaining the exposed rafters on the front. The whole house is hardy right now except for the front. The front has a wood shake on the upper part and actually original wood on the front porch. The rest of the house has been previously hardy sided. The hardy siding's in good shape. needs painted. So we're not making any structural changes. We're not making any other changes other than the painting, restoring the two large double hung windows, wood windows as they are, just putting new glass in them and rejuvenating them. And that's about it for the existing structure. So I kind of wanted to go through that with colors and some other things, start getting some feedback with you. At the same time, I want to talk about the addition, which we've been in front of Design Review Advisory Committee. I don't know if I think we've been in front of you before also.
Like in 2023?
Yes. So that's kind of, just to kind of keep in mind. We all know where it is. It's next to the castle. Our lot presents some challenges. Somewhere, the same people that built the castle, same builders related to us, built this house. And at some point, I don't know when, but they stole all the property, all the rear property of our property, and gave it to the castle, probably because it's more important or for whatever reason. So this is one of our challenges we've been struggling with is this tapered lot. This is a good picture showing you the tapered lot. Also, the carriage house of the castle, it's hard to tell from the roof, but it happens to be on our property line. The actual side of the building is on our property line, and it also follows the same taper of the lot. Both sides of our lot are tapered. The right side is more straight, but the left side is more tapered. So the only note here is that the castle carriage house is right on the property line, so that's why we're trying to stay 5 feet over. And we'll get more into the details of that more on the addition side. Picture of the front. Picture of the front. Picture of the side. I'm going to talk more about this back left corner because there was some confusion, I think, with the Design Review Advisory Committee, and I want to straighten that out, but we'll keep trucking through and stay focused on the details of the front. This is looking at the back, showing the carriage house of the castle directly on our property line, also with an angle. Just another view looking down the property. Our property line right now goes right about down the middle of the left area of our house, in between the left house and ours. This is looking east down the alley. East looks pretty good. They have a nice staggered garage down there. I've done a lot of stuff on Vine Court. And this is unfortunately the Franklin Castle's carriage house is directly on the alley, which kind of creates a little bit of a tough area to back out of when you can't see around and can't work your way out. This is our first color scheme of the new colors. We're leaning towards the second one. This is an historic color. I forget the name of it. Colonial Revival Gray. It's not that we don't like this, it's that we like the second one better. And the Design Review Advisory Committee kind of agrees, and the popular polling of everybody I ask tends to think that the teal stencil is more fitting, more fun. So that's the direction we're leaning. Like I said, the front is all existing shake. It will get some pieces replaced, but for the most part, it's all staying there, short of a few of the pieces on the bottom of the top gable that have gotten a little weathered, and we're going to work those in so it looks like it has for over 120, 30 years. This originally, our big thing was we have a family of 6 with, 4 drivers right now, about to be 5 in another year. So we've got a big family ranging from 2 years old to 19. So we've got a lot of drivers, and we tried to, St. Herman's House owns the house on the upper side of this. And we tried to talk to them about possibly purchasing, you can see where our property line is. There's a utility pole back there that kind of makes it, kind of separates us. And we had talked to them in the past, and this is what we had previously talked to you about, of buying a piece of property off of them. That did not work out. So we were not able to get that property, so we had to redesign. One of the reasons we wanted that, because we didn't want 2 stories back there, because it becomes kind of overbearing. We also have lake views from our top floor, pretty nice lake views. So from our attic floor. So we really didn't want to do 2 floors. So that's why we went sideways. That didn't work out. So we said, okay, we're going to stay on our property line, but the only way to do this is to actually go onto our property line to get the kind of space we need. So we will be looking for a variance just for this rear portion to go to the property line. You will notice on the back, do I have a pointer? No. You will notice on the interaction between the existing and new, there is a slight bump out to the downward portion. There is a reason for that, and Design Review Advisory Committee tried to wrestle with it and didn't quite get it, but trust me, it comes out like 1'8", and I did not want to bring that little bump out down. I just wanted to line it up. There is a reason for that, and I will go through that. This gives you an idea. The main reason we need to go to the property line is we also want a man door. We have a big family. We do a lot. We wash cars. We're active. We do a lot of projects. We want to be able to get out of our garage, even in the winter, without having to open the garage door. It's going to be a heated garage. And we need a place to store bikes, have things. So that 4 or 5 feet on the other side of those 2 cars is crucial to us. The other thing you'll notice is that we have set this back so that we can pull a car in without having to go into the garage. It also helps us in the backing out of the property. This is the first floor. The first floor of our existing house is going to be dead level with our courtyard. We want to walk out at the same level. There's a deck on the back now that'll be torn off to a courtyard. The only reason we have some steps up is because our existing basement is like 7'9" or 7'6". So we didn't want the whole rest of our garage to be 7'6". You'll notice this little cumbersome part on the bottom middle where the new and existing, and I'll talk more about that. This is the second floor, which basically has nothing to do with us. This is a side elevation showing how we accomplished getting enough living space on our rear room above. And, we have ambitions to have this, as me and my wife both work from home. So as either a personal office or a nanny suite where we could maybe get somebody to help with our 2-year-old and live there. So we really needed some more space, and especially since we didn't want the massing of going 2 stories. We are proposing hardy siding, board and batten siding on the back of this. We are open to matching the front of the house with the same Reveal hardy siding. We really prefer the board and batten. Almost none of this is seen from the street. It also, I know that the standards kind of like you to not necessarily sometimes when you put an addition on, copy the front house exactly, play off of its features, but not mimic it and photocopy it. So that was the reason we went with the board and batten siding. It's also resilient. It's also cheaper than hardy siding. It's also easy to get up. This is looking from the rear. This rear is going to go into something that I'm going to explain more on this little bump out, but the bump out is not visible from either side. You cannot see this bump out from either the east or the west side of our house. It is invisible. This just shows another cross section showing the areas. This is the interior courtyard and the connecting hallway. This is an angle looking the other direction. This is where I think they had from this rendering is incorrect in the sense that you see how you could see the addition and you see it bumping out past the rear of our structure. It does not do that. And unfortunately, they don't like you to, if I could just briefly walk you through that. I feel bad that Chris and the other people at home can't join in on this, but and renderings, I work a lot with this rendering girl, and it's just tough to get, especially contextual renderings where you're trying to show it in the neighborhood. But as you'll see on this, on the first page, that point that you're seeing on the back of this rendering and the back of this house is point A, which is a bump out. That is not near the addition. If you go to the next page, you could see the A you're seeing there. It goes in like 5 feet from there. So the line on the first page, the line of the site, which is the picture I took yesterday, from the corner turret of the castle, it is impossible to see that corner. It is invisible. If you look at what is back there, that's where we stored our air conditioners. It is a dead space, and us coming 1'8" out is not something we want to do. But if you go to the interior picture shows you how we're fixed on where that wall has to be. The one door goes to the hallway and the other 2 sliders go to the courtyard. So we are pinned down on that whole courtyard. Then if you go to the floor plan, you'll see we barely have enough room to get up the stairs. We start thinning down, and right now at 1'8", we only have 3 foot to get by our stairs. So this is the difference between that bump out, which will not be seen from anywhere, is the difference between us being able to have a stair and get around it and not redo all the rear exterior of our home. And right now our courtyard is 15'4". I wish it was 16 or 18 feet, of course. But we also chose in the site plan that courtyard is 5 feet off our property line, and it does follow the side of our house. We knew that if we bumped out that way, it would be visible. So we brought that in, but on the other side, we didn't have that liberty. This is this is the green. We're also open and probably leaning towards having the rear the same color. We're also not opposed to having it the trim color. So we're kind of open to both of those. We've jockeyed that back and forth. Do we match the same color or do we invert the trim and body color? This is just some of the other, we've had some resistance with design review advisory committee about not putting our garage structure closer to the alley, which I couldn't disagree with more. Having that space, not being able to, trying to back out of a garage, these are just 2 simple garage renovations with the bonus room a few doors down from us. And not having that space to pull a car in makes it very difficult. Number one, when you back out, your whole car is passing through the alley. Number 2, you're forced to go into the garage immediately. So just a couple examples of that. That's just another view of, right now, this is a temporary deck, and the Franklin Castle, we have no problems with what they're doing over there. We get along with them. We miss Jens, who used to be in charge. But it is a little bit strange because when we're on our patio, they're always they have people over there in the back with the campfire, and I don't mind it. I'm a pretty social guy, but they're always like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Like we're kind of on a perch and a pedestal up there, and so when we make this connecting way, it'll give us a little privacy. It's also going to give them a little bit of privacy, and our focus is going to be on the courtyard side. So that was the only reason to show that slide. So I think tried to keep it as brief as I can and pile as much information as I can into it. Yeah, we're excited to get this moving. I wish I had time and money. We've had so many different renderings on all of this. It's unbelievable. But all I can say to you is that little bump out on that side is not visible. So when you're, and for the people that aren't here, well, that's even a good, that's even a good picture, seeing how that shows the bay bump out, the other that's the wrong floor. So let's get to the right floor. That shows the two bump outs, that the bay bump out is touching our property line. The other bump out, it goes in a little bit, and then where we are is another 5 feet in from that, and that creates an angle, which I showed you guys in the handout, that makes it 100% invisible from the street or anywhere else. So I guess, I don't know if I missed anything, but I guess I'll open this up to you guys for your excellent input and to get us out of here so we get lunch.
Thank you for the presentation. Before we move into our comments, we'll start with Design Review Committee recommendations.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historical Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee on the 18th. They did not have quorum at that time, but the committee members present did have a lot of discussion. They discussed that they prefer to see a lap siding on the addition, more appropriate and relate more to the historic home. The design of the addition is very clearly modern, and so they don't think that would be an issue. There was a lot of discussion, as noted, with the way that the addition meets with the historic home, and kind of wanting to see a hyphen or some kind of different connection or connection point there. And there's also discussion on the proposed painting of the brick porch, commenting on the age of that porch, of the brickwork on the porch, questioning that it's not original to the older age of the older home, and concern on, painting could accelerate any issues with the brick or the mortar, wanting to see appropriate craftsman paint colors. The committee members present were in favor of the teal stencil option, so option B for the colors, and wanted to see any of the sandstone materials left natural, but if the brick on the front porch was to be painted, to use breathable masonry paint.
All right, thank you. And then we'll move on to Landmark staff recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff does not have any concerns about the bump out and its visibility. We're confident that that won't be visible from the street or really anywhere in the public right of way. In general, this is a rear addition that's being treated in a very modern, with a modern approach. And so we feel it's an appropriate and, an appropriate addition to a historic home. So happy to see it being proposed and potentially moving forward. I think we would recommend inverting the trim and the body color on the addition so that it just sort of sets itself again aside as new compared to the old.
You said reverting it, in other words, said making it not match.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, our only real concern is that the painting of the masonry porch, understanding that it's not original to the home. There's the front of this house originally looked very, very different than it does today. There are modifications at some point, but that was, some of those were done, 100 years ago probably. So it's just anytime you paint brick, you're kind of setting yourself up for future issues. So we would recommend, if there's a way to avoid having to do that, to seek that out.
And yet,
But yeah, if you do have to paint it, I would go with a breathable masonry paint.
All right, thank you. Then we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who would like to start us off? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't hold anything against you for handing out the piece of the paper. I think I understand kind of what you're getting at there with the bump out, why it's necessary, and the fact that you probably won't see it. I also am breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, knowing the really great work that you have done in the neighborhood and the fact that you own this home and will be owning and occupying it helps me feel a bit better too, just because I know that you will do things correctly. So I appreciate that as well. I think I'm also in agreement with the paint color selection. I think I'm good with the, I appreciate the teal color as well. I don't have an opinion one way or another, lap siding versus board and batten. I think that the addition does feel much more modern addition. You won't sort of uh, 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 see that as being, you know, contemporary with the house. The coloration of that, I think that I would maybe suggest something that was uh, darker so that it recedes versus so that the historic home itself really is the showpiece, and then something that's darker, you know, recedes into the background versus something that's lighter, which will, you know, come forward. Um, uh, uh, yeah, I mean, I think I think that this is a good um, a good addition to the neighborhood, and it seems like it suits what you're looking for from your family's needs as well. So,
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Other questions and comments from the commission? I guess I'll go next. I do agree, you know, with Mr. Lozier's comments that, you know, I think this is a great improvement in knowing your reputation and the work you've done. I feel fairly comfortable with the proposal. I don't really have that many concerns about the bump out because of how deep the existing house is. And really that small amount, you know, it really is not going to be that much. So I'm not that concerned with it. I would agree with Mr. Lozier versus, and I'll respectfully staff. The inversion to me to have that color teal on the trim is not appealing to me. So using either the matching color or a darker color, as Mr. Lozier had suggested, so that it really does complement but stands separate from the existing building. So like a darker teal color, a complementing color might be appropriate, and you could work with staff on that. Or even your gray. I think that's something to be explored with staff. And then, so the option 2 colors. My only question is, have you gone through a zoning review yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I know
don't
that
think
I'll
you're
need
gonna
a
be-
zoning variance.
Well, and I don't think you'll be allowed to have your windows on your east property line. It's probably gonna have to be a fire rated wall.
Where, against the carriage house?
Against the property line, because there is always the opportunity for somebody else to build on that property line. On your adjacent neighbor's property. So
So, which windows were you referring to?
the ones on the east property line. And parallel to
Sure that there.
one more on that second floor
I'm sorry.
or the first floor. You have windows right there. The little red.
Oh, yeah, but there's no, that's 5 foot off the property line. Where I'm building is 5 foot off of my own property line.
On both sides?
Well, those two. But I could take, if that helps anything, I could take those out and get more windows.
Well, I
There's
think-
enough windows in the back, but that's not the end
That
of
would
it.
be a requirement by the, Ian, I won't say from a landmark side, I'm just saying from the architect side of Ian building code requirement. Should explore that or look into that, because I don't think those windows will be allowed. So that was that, and then
Not a problem. I do like them, but
I don't disagree, but I don't think you're gonna be allowed them by code. And then finally, if you could go to your rear,
it'd be hard for them to build because there's a utility pole that they would have to knock down and reroute all the electricity, but I understand a code's a code's code.
right,
Go where, I'm sorry?
the rear elevation of your addition. Right, that one's good too. I would recommend that you beef up your column of your addition. on both east and west sides. It looks a little flimsy to me personally. Everything else is fairly substantial
I
and
think. but
solid.
That is a 2 inch by like 10 inch. It's a steel, rectangular steel tubing, and you're looking at like the 3 or 4 inch side, whereas the other side is like 8 or 10. The one that runs across is like 12 inches to 14 inches for the load. But even the one down there is you're looking at the thin way. That should show that's not quite right, even from the back. I'm probably going to use the same size that's on the top. That's actually the structural member, even though I don't need it for structure. So I'm agreeing with you that it's going to read bigger than that.
Thank you for sharing. Okay,
But-
that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable looking at the rear elevation. It just looks a little flimsy from, the
Right.
sides. So if that is more substantial, then I'm fine with that. But those are my comments. I mean, overall, I am support, and I don't feel uncomfortable with the board and batten because it clearly is standing separate from the existing building. But just the color, as we talked about, option 2, a version of option 2 on the rear elevation would be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions and comments from the commission? Mr. Samberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to reiterate everything everybody else already said, but with the brick on the front, on the patio, I think I would recommend staining that instead of painting it, to get the mortar and the mismatched bricks to look a little bit better, with a masonry stain.
Great suggestion. All right, anything else from the commission? No? All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Why is everybody always afraid to do that? There's
Make a
always
motion.
this weird pause.
Mr. Samberry?
I know, it's always this weird pause.
Can't make a motion. Go ahead,
I'll
Mr.
make a
Samberry.
motion to approve as presented, with the recommendation that no mind the stain on the brick.
The, exploring the colors of the rear elevation for
Exploring the
staff
colors
to approve.
with staff approval. Likely will not be allowed to have those windows on the lot line.
Okay.
That's not us dictating that. That'll be a
Right.
different code.
And would we need to support any variances required for building on a lot line?
If you'd like to.
I'd like you to.
Yeah, we would support any variances required for building on the lot line.
All right, so we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second? Thank you. We have a motion, or we have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
And Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Tresek?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Good luck with
Thank
your
you so
project.
much. We're excited to do it.
Excellent. Well,
A
excited
big
for the
house with
improvement.
no garage and is wearing us out.
Well, good luck.
Thank you so much.
That concludes our certificates of appropriateness. We'll now move into the meeting minutes. 2 were circulated. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the meeting minutes, or would you like to put forward a motion? Mr. Dulick?
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Samberry. We have a motion second. Mr. Mustin, please call roll.
And Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Tresek?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, excellent. We'll move on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to note that we have a couple of our Design Review Advisory Committee members stepping down. Allison Love and Cassandra Noy stepping down. Cassandra's been on one of our committees for years and years and years, so just wish them well. And we'll probably be bringing some nominations for new committee members before you guys in the upcoming meetings. I also did just want to follow up on some discussion from last meeting, when we were looking at the siding policy. There was some, I guess, mention of sort of abbreviated versions of that. So these are still in draft form. These are something that our office has been working on, primarily Jessica, over the last few months. So they haven't been approved by comms. So we, we aren't distributing them yet, but just to give you an idea of kind of the direction we're heading with these, we'd like to have, sort of for each of our policies have kind of a checklist of how one would go about getting an administrative approval, and then, working on an overall sort of pathway through our design review system, and how one could implement our policies. And this is as simple as we could get it to look. So
No, this is great.
so just wanted to share those. And yeah, once we have final and approved versions of those, we'll certainly share those with you as well.
This is great. Great work. I don't want to look at that. No.
This just stresses me.
Exactly. It stresses me out. That is great to see. And I think, so you haven't had the opportunity to distribute these yet because it hasn't been approved.
Right, yeah, we need to get these approved through the city's, the Tom's office and the mayor's office. And, I think, give it one final edit. We were waiting on the siding policy to get approved before we kind of focus back on these. So I think we'll probably be looking to wrap these, finalize these and get these to the print shop fairly soon.
I think it's great. Looks great. I think they'll be well received. It's much easier to digest in that
Yes.
form.
Yes, agreed.
So, well, excellent. All right. Any other reports?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, excellent. Then we will adjourn our meeting today and see everyone in 2 weeks. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.